right, everyone. Welcome back to the Almost Sideways podcast. This is a special episode we have for you today. Are we calling this an official episode? We could call it an official episode.
You gotta pad those numbers.
Got to pad the numbers. So this is episode 270. I think it's 270.
I have no idea.
I think it's episode 270. We're recording this on Saturday, May 11th, 2024 at about 10:15 p.m. I'm Terry. He's Todd. We're in the same room, and this is a very special episode. We were going to take this week off with a bunch of stuff going on, Mother's Day and things. We weren't going to have time to record a full episode, but what we did have time for is Todd and I just spent the day at the Seattle International Film Festival. We watched 3 movies, pulled off a triple feature at 2 different theaters, and we had to walk between, and so that was fun. It was like 85 degrees in downtown Seattle today, so that's always good. And so we wanted to give a little debrief on the movies we watched. Checked out some really small-time movies, or at least a couple really small-time movies. One A24 movie.
Yeah, we kind of covered the whole spectrum. We had a really small budget movie that's kind of playing the whole festival game. Then we did like an obscure foreign film that was kind of packed, and then we had a local film with a lot of almost sideways flavor to it.
Yes. So we're gonna walk through our day, tell you about the movies we watched. One of these movies will probably get some sort of release that you'll be able to see. The other 2, if they sound interesting, you're gonna have to search them out. I think that's the only way you're gonna find them. But yeah, let's get into our day. So yeah, it's Seattle International Film Festival. It's running. It started May 9th. It'll be wrapping up May 19th. So if you're in the area, if you're in the Seattle area, you can go downtown Seattle, catch some movies. It's a lot of fun. We got to vote for the Golden Space Needle 3 times today. We'll talk about how we voted because we haven't talked about that at all. We've talked a little bit about the movies so far. We did spend the day together. Yeah,
you can watch a lot of the movies will be available online for like 10 days after the official festival days that you can actually go see them. And the winners are going to announce near the end of around the 18th or 19th, I guess. And then a lot of the stuff, they'll have a streaming version of it.
I guarantee you this first movie we're going to talk about is going to be available streaming.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into this. The first movie we watched was the most bonkers movie, and the first thing I said to Todd when we left was, this is what film festivals are made for, is movies like this. It is a very Seattle movie. It is a very almost sideways movie, which is why we watched it. It is called... I'll go back up. I need the title. You scrolled away.
I was just seeing where it was shot. It was shot in Spokane.
It was shot in Spokane. I was wondering where they found snow. Anyways, the movie is called Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox. It is written and directed by Stimson Sneed and stars where is the guy? There, Samuel Dunning.
And the director were in attendance.
They were in attendance. They did a little Q&A. We got to stay for a little bit of it, but we had to go to our next movie. But the main draws for us were bit parts from Joel McHale, Danny Trejo, and Keith David, Big Tim himself. Yeah. Like this had a Hey That's Danny Trejo award to Danny Trejo in this. Felicia Day also has a fairly big part. Anyways, you want to talk about this one? May you talk about this one?
I can talk about it. Sure.
Talk about Tim Travers. You might have understood more of it than I did.
So Tim Travers, or as he's called at one point, Timothy Oliphant Travers.
Timothy Oliphant Travers.
And yes, he is a douchebag. He's this scientist in I don't even know when this is actually supposed to take place. I guess it's
2026.
2026. Okay, yeah, they did say that at some point. But he invents this time machine that can as he knows, take him back in time 1 minute, and he tries to play around with it where he thinks like, oh, I'm gonna go back a minute and then kill myself and then see what happens with that, and nothing happens, and it's kind of weird that nothing happens, and then he starts doing it a whole bunch of times, and then he really creates a big mess because there was like a whole bunch of him, and he's
30 of them, I think, is what
officially 30.
Unofficially 30. The filmmakers said.
At some point, he plays 30 versions of himself, and this is while getting it's sort of a narration at parts where he's like telling the story on a radio program to Joel McHale's character, and then the movie really opens up and is just bizarre. Like he has like this thing that he keeps going on dates with a girl that works at the radio station, and it is a wild movie. I really like the first like third of it or so where he is playing around with the time paradox, because I really do enjoy time travel movies that are like that. But for me, when it actually really expands into like the wild, like kind of like the house that Jack built type like last half an hour, I just was I mean, it's not that it wasn't entertaining, it's just that it kind of lost itself. I feel like it is a crazy movie. It was fun to see Keith David, Big Tim, and and Danny Trejo does have
playing God. Keith David playing God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Among many other people playing God too.
This is true.
Danny Trejo was like the head of this group that he had stolen plutonium from to make his time machine, and he's sort of like him
along with the director.
Yeah, the director has a part doing the same thing. Like they're like trying to find him and kill him, but they keep killing clones and whatnot, or what they think are clones. It's an interesting movie. I don't know, Terry. What'd you think of this? Because I don't know. We haven't really talked about what we actually rated it.
Yeah. This movie, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. But it doesn't really matter that it doesn't make any sense, because it's just so goofy, and it knows it's goofy. It knows it's not taking itself seriously in any way. As I was watching it, I'm like, this movie, it's so dumb. And like the production value is super low. Like this is super low budget. Like it felt like B-rated porno budget. Like that's what it felt like. But at the same time, you have this interesting stuff going on. And I mean, Samuel Dunning, like, he's playing 30 different guys and actually pulls it off well. There are 30 different versions of the same character, but then as it goes along, they all kind of develop their own characteristics as they all start in the same place. And there's a lot of nuance to it. And they all wear name tags to tell which one's which apparently was a last minute ad, according to the filmmaker that we heard in the Q&A. They weren't going to do that. And then there's like, oh no, this is like a saving grace. And they even say that in there.
And they're like, it'll thank me later for this.
I was leaving, or when the movie ended, so you rated out of 5 stars, because apparently no one else understands that 4 stars are all you need. So you rated out of 5 stars for the voting. As it was ending, I was gonna give it 2 stars, and I was probably like 2 on our scale, 2 stars, 2.5 stars, somewhere in there. And then just listening to the filmmakers talk for a little bit, I'm like, screw it, I'll give you a 3-star rating on this. At least on the ballot. I'll probably bump it up to like a 2.5. Because it is so dumb. But hearing them talk about it, like they were gonna make another movie, and the funding got pulled from them, and then they decided to expand this short. And that was the other thing, is this had to be a killer short. Like that must have been awesome. And then I'm watching this movie, and
it probably takes place in one room or something.
Yeah. And I'm watching this movie, and like, how are they gonna pull 2 hours out of this? Like, we got like a half hour in, and I'm like, I feel like the movie's about to end. and they were a half hour into a 2-hour movie. They were saying from like commitment of starting to write the script, or commitment of the actor to do the movie, to opening, writing the script and everything, was 60 days, and they filmed for 17 days.
Yeah, something like
that. It was something insane like that. I'm like, okay, you pulled this off and that. Okay, I'll bump you up a little bit. So I'm in the 2.5 star range. I gave them a 3-star rating on my ballot, though. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I did really like the main actor. Like I told Terry afterwards that he's he's discount Glenn Howerton. Again, he's doing a lot of Glenn Howerton. Like if you take like all of the different like crazy characters that he plays on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like I mean, it's basically he's doing that 30 different times, and he does really good at it. I've never seen.
I felt there was a little bit of Nicholas Hoult in him too. A little bit of Nicholas Hoult.
I could watch that guy do some more stuff. I ended up giving the movie 2 stars on my ballot, and yeah, it's probably in the 2.5 star range. So we're kind of in the same place. But yeah, it is impressive how quickly they were able to shoot it and everything like that, because it doesn't look that terrible. Like I mean, I do like low budget sci-fi movies, and there's a little bit of that, but I mean all it really is like shining bright lights and there are some really bad like green screen behind you kind of stuff that they have, but it works. I mean the filmmaker is I could see him getting a bigger budget and making a really killer movie, but yeah, this just seems like something he just wanted to get out of his head, and he even plays a pretty big part in it.
So going back to something we talked about on one of the more recent podcasts, would you rewatch it?
I mean, depends on the circumstances. If I really felt that it was someone's thing, and I would show it to him for sure. I don't know if I would actually seek this out to turn it back on.
That's fair. I'm right there with you. I would totally be like my wife. I could see like having a what the hell moment with this, and it would be really fun to show it to her to get that what the hell moment out of.
Yeah.
I'd rewatch this. I would rewatch it. And yeah, super Seattle movie, super Washington State movie. I don't know if you're gonna see this anywhere else. Tim Travers. It was
Tim Travers
and the Time Traveler's Paradox. What the hell is it again?
Time Traveler's Paradox.
Time Traveler's Paradox. Tim Travers. That's what you need to remember. Tim Travers. Okay, so that was the first movie we watched. It was nuts. It was bonkers.
We started out, in early afternoon, seeing a movie that probably plays better at if we were watching it right now,
watching it at 10:30 at night with a couple drinks in us, and then you turn on Tim Travers. Like seriously, why wasn't this like a midnight showing there? Like that would have been perfect. But no, it was the 1:00 matinee. Was this? But work on your programming. We should be programmers.
But I mean, it's probably because the filmmaker was there, and I don't know if you get them to come to your midnight shows.
True, but if he's a Seattle guy, that's the only reason Joel McHale was in it. Okay, so that was Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox. Okay, moving on. We had to walk across town to get to our next movie, and our next movie was Janet Planet, which is probably the biggest of the 3 that we saw. Definitely the biggest of the 3 that we saw. It's already been picked up by A24, which we saw in the very first moment. It shows the A24 logo, which is always a good thing that you see that. This was written and directed by Annie Baker, and it stars... I don't have all my stuff in front of me, so I gotta look through his stuff. Julian Nicholson and Zoe Ziegler. Julian Nicholson plays the titular Janet, and her daughter is Lacey, played by Zoe Ziegler, and it's really the 2 of them kind of working through different seasons of their life in a summer together. Janet goes through several different iterations of relationships throughout the summer, and Lacey is constantly by her side. If Tim Travers, there's way too much going on and just chaos and you don't know what's happening, this is as polar opposite as you could possibly get, because this is a movie where nothing happens. It's a slice of life movie. Let me show you just how this summer goes. The movie opens with Julian Nicholson, Janet dating Wayne, played by Will Patton, who is getting way too old, but his voice still sounds the same. I recognized his voice before I recognized his close-up. Then you have a relationship with Regina, played by Sophie Okonedo, and it wraps up with a relationship with Avi, played by Elias Koteas. And again, through the whole thing, Janet is accompanied by Lacey. And I think I found it interesting. I don't know why the movie's called Janet Planet. I think it's the name of her acupuncture studio. But like that's the one place you saw it was on the door to her acupuncture studio. But Lacey's really the main character. You're seeing Janet work through these relationships through Lacey's eyes. I don't know. These are the types of movies that you either get into or you don't. I was having trouble fully getting into this just because, I don't know, maybe it was because we went from Tim Travers to nothing to literally like just sitting there and watching, literally sitting there for a minute watching something cook in the microwave. Like that's the type of movie Janet Planet is. That's a literal scene in the movie. Then, and there was a lot of really interesting camera work in this where Lacey would be almost completely out of screen, but she was the only one in the scene. I don't know what they were trying to say with that, but there were scenes where you just saw like from her nose and eyes up, and that was it. Maybe it's just the fact that, you know, she's a child and trying to live in an adult world and trying to interact with an adult world. Lacey has no friends. Her only friend is her mother. She's in the room for everything, including some really not appropriate conversations for her to be in the room for, which you don't, but there's some good reveals in there that got some good laughs out of the crowd. Yeah, I'm probably like there's some good stuff going on here, and including one thing that we mentioned when we were going through this. I have no idea what happened at the end. Like there's a moment at the end with Elias Koteas that makes no sense, and none of us know what's going on. It's a movie. It's one of those movies that you feel like the end of every scene of the movie could have been the end of the movie, because it's such a slice of life that it could end at any time and it would make sense. And that's how the ending happens too. It's just, oh, well, maybe this one actually is the ending, which I think that was also partially brought on because Todd told me it was a 90-minute movie and ended up being a 110-minute movie. And so for the last like 30 minutes of the movie, I'm like, this might be the last scene. It would make sense if this was the last scene. Nope, that's not the last scene. This could be the last scene. Nope, that's not the last scene either. Okay, so 20 minutes later, is this the last? This is the last scene. Okay. Yeah, so I'm probably around 2.5 stars. I gave it 3. I wanted to be generous on my ballots, so I gave it 3 on the ballot. And this is one that I know, Todd, you mentioned you heard that Maya Hawke said it's one of her favorite movies of all time that she just had watched.
Yeah.
And so it is getting some buzz. Like I said, A24 has picked it up, which means it's gonna get a theatrical release at some point this summer, probably. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Janet Planet. It's one of those slice of life movies that you are either in for or you're not in for. And I just wasn't feeling it, but it was still interesting throughout.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I feel like if it wasn't in English, it would be like Zach written all over it. Like this would be a Zach 4-star movie.
This is a Dardenne movie if it was in French.
Yeah, or even like The Quiet Girl or something. Like Zoe Ziegler is so expressionless throughout the whole movie. Like she has zero emotion. Like the opening scene,
but that's what makes it though. That's what makes her an interesting character.
The first words out of her mouth, the first words of the movie are, "I'm going to kill myself," and she's on the phone with her mother. And
summer camp.
And it's like I was like, okay, I kind of know what to expect after that, but I didn't, because I mean it's not really that abrupt after that at all. I do really like the structure of breaking it up into chapters. I enjoy that most of the time. Like I really like The Dead Girl. And I thought it was gonna have something like that where it's like they were gonna build on each other, and then one was gonna be climactic, but they're not. Like I mean, they could have been almost in any order. It just like screw with the other with the Lacey stuff, and you could have done it any way. My favorite. I mean, I always have been a big fan of Elias Koteas, and he doesn't really have a ton to do in this, but he probably was my favorite part. And there's a part where the Janet and Sofia Grenato's character get high, and that's just really that's a really great sequence, and probably the most real I felt because I feel like I've heard that conversation before. I'm right with you though, Terry. I gave it 3 on my ballot. I'm probably in the 2.5, 3-star range for the movie. I was probably more on its wavelength than you were. I just it's something that is a little hard to fully grasp. Yeah, especially when you're coming from something crazy before it. But
right, yeah, we definitely watched this in the wrong order.
yeah.
But that's just how we had to do it. Yeah, it's like there are indie movies that are just those slice of life movies, but this one, like you said, it did nothing, right? It had no plot. It had nothing to it.
Yeah, it was pretty much about a young girl who doesn't want to go to camp, so she stays home with her mom and deals with her and her lovers.
And just is the fly on the wall in every scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Janet Planet. So, yeah.
You'll probably be able to see it. I wonder if it actually has a release date listed. Let's look this up real quick. Played at a bunch of film festivals already. I guess premiered last year at Telluride. And it has a limited release June 21st and a wide release June 28th. So
okay, so in a little over a month, you'll be able to see Janet Planet around the country. Interesting. Okay.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I knew that one was one of the more high profile ones they had at the festival. They don't normally get like huge movies, like huge Oscar movies. Like every once in a while they'll get a Winter's Bone or something like that. But yeah, when something pops up like this, I'm just like, okay, we kind of got to make that one of our priorities.
And it took place in like the early 90s too, which one of the things I turned to Todd at one point and said to him, because our screening was closed captioned, and so we had the subtitles on the screen, and at one point I'm glad we did, because Lacey was sitting there watching TV, and on the subtitles it said theme song to Clarissa Explains It All playing in the background. I'm like, I would not have pulled that if it had not told me, but I love the fact that it told me, because that was awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I didn't really know when it was set throughout almost the entire movie, and until that, I was like, okay, that definitely places it now, because I mean, it could have been the 70s, it could have been the 80s, didn't really matter.
The cars were like late 80s, early 90s. The mall designs were late 80s, early 90s.
But then Janet also said her father, like, was a Holocaust survivor or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I mean, it's like you're.
Yeah.
It was a gray area.
Okay. That was movie number 2. We got to stay at the same theater for movie number 3, which was Bonjour, Switzerland. This was a movie that it was directed and written by Peter Luisi, and in the description on the SIFF website and what they said beforehand is they programmed this movie because one of this director's last movies was a like underground hit at SIFF a few years ago. So when they knew that he had made a new movie, they wanted it. And so we got to watch this one. The house was packed. Todd?
Yeah.
Bonjour, Switzerland.
Okay, so Bonjour, Switzerland. I guess it was actually made in Switzerland. Official language Swiss German, although there are a lot of languages spoken.
A lot.
Because this is about I guess some sort of current day Switzerland, where there is a leader who decides that he's going to make Switzerland monolinguist, I guess is how you would say it, because I guess there are 4 official languages in Switzerland, and that's sort of been their identity for a long time. And so he wants to make it one official language to save money, I guess, in some way. And that brings a lot of, like, people are like, oh yeah, we need to do this. And a lot of people that are like there becomes a huge backlash. And so when the vote goes through, there is this worry that there's going to be this, like, militia that's going to rise up, and so they take this like bumbling idiot police officer played by, I guess it's Beat Schlatter, who I guess I guess also co-wrote the movie, and
oh, nice! I didn't realize
he goes with this other James Bond-ish fellow. Vincent Kukul plays Jonas Bornard, and they are this
Jonas
mismatched pair who go into the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland to investigate and try to figure out if there is there going to be an uprising or whatnot. And this movie is like slapsticky hilarious from like start to finish. I really like the main character. He's got killer facial expressions. He's just a lot of fun to follow. I kind of think he's like a Timothy Spall type. What I told Terry, and he meets this girl in the during his investigation, Francesca, played by Catherine Pagani, and I think she's fantastic. She brings she grounds the movie in some sort of reality, because it is just ridiculous scene after ridiculous scene when you're looking at Jonas and Walter, the two main guys, because Jonas is every single scene he's in a different costume and in a different like disguise to try to maneuver ridiculous. His way into things, when Walter is just this unassuming guy who accidentally until Terry basically like almost gets into a Black Klansman situation like right off the bat because he's such an idiot. And the movie, I mean, you could see definite parallels with things that are going on in the world now in like all kinds of countries and in America too. And it's one of those things where, I mean, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's a little realistic, but it's absolutely just hilarious. Like, I mean, I don't know who else could really do movies like this. Maybe it's not. I mean, I could like, would this feel like a Sacha Baron Cohen movie or something? I don't know.
It wouldn't work in English. I don't think it would.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I mean, well, it wouldn't work in America because we don't speak 4 different languages. Valid
point. Well, and you didn't even mention the best part. So, I mean, there's 4 different languages. The majority speak German.
Yeah.
And so the vote was, do you want to go to one language? Yes or no? And if you say yes, which language? Yeah. And so, like, the Germans are like, oh, it's going to be just German around here. And then French wins. Yeah. And so all these Germans, like our main character, Walter, has to learn French and can't. And so they solve it by sending him to the Italian part.
It's like going to outlaw the other language. Like you'll be breaking the law if you use any language other than the one that wins this vote. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I voted 4 stars on my ballot, and I mean, it is definitely like a solid to high 3 stars. I mean, and honestly, if I think about it some more, it might get up to 3.5 stars because it's some of the most fun I've had at the movies this year.
Yeah, I'm 3.5 stars. I put 5 stars on my ballot, just because I would love to see, of all the movies that are at, like, there's some big movies at the film festival. Like, I saw the TV Glow is there. And then like the new Hamaguchi movies there. Like, there's some big profile. If Bonjour Switzerland,
Sing is there too.
Sing's there. If Bonjour Switzerland wins, I would be so happy.
Well, yeah.
I wanted to just stuff the ballot and do some vote manipulation.
The audience winner is never the biggest movie. I mean, I think what we saw that Captain Fantastic had won because it kept flashing that before the movie. But I mean, the audience winner is normally not one of the top ones.
Yeah, but no, this movie it's so funny, and it was a packed house that was all in for everything this movie was dishing, which made it that much better. It does have some commentary on what's going on in the world around us. I'm trying to force certain things on other people, and it goes into some other stuff. There's this whole other side plot with Walter's mother, who becomes a guerrilla terrorist with a couple old fuddy-duddies too. I mean, which is just ridiculous. Like, she gives him a shopping list of like, go find us some anti-tank missiles, and like it's insane. It is completely ludicrous, but you are all in, and it's charming, it's endearing, it's hilarious. I'm really curious how it would play like alone at home versus in a packed house that is all in for everything that the movie has going on. Like I don't know how that would affect it. I think it helped that we were in that theater where everyone was in on every joke. But at the same time, I think it's just a good movie. The previous movie they said that was at the film festival, it was called Streaker, which was a popular movie, and I think we need to find Streaker, and we need to watch this at some point, because if that's the kind of movie these guys make, it's totally worth checking this out. He makes all sorts of movies. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to find it. It's got a whole 627 votes. It's on Tubi. Dude, we're watching Streaker. Dude, we gotta watch this thing. If it wasn't so late, I'd say we turn it on as soon as we're done recording.
High school teacher
Beach Slaughter's in it again.
Starts recruiting and training streakers for illegal sports betting. That sounds awesome.
We're gonna get together and watch that. Like we have to watch that one together. I think. Okay. I think we have to watch that one together.
Beach
but
Slaughter.
By far the best movie we watched at the film festival of the three was Bonjour Switzerland. If at any point this is available to watch in any way, find it and watch it. It is worth it. It is worth the watch. And yeah, I've been to Switzerland, so I know that they've got this whole like different, all the languages. Oh, nice. It only has one release date listed on IMDb, and it was in November in Zurich for the premiere. It doesn't even say it was at this film festival. But my favorite story, I was in Geneva, and while I was there, I went and saw Sunshine, the Danny Boyle movie, with Cillian Murphy and Chris Evans was in that, right? We got to remember that for Immaculate Grid. That's a great one.
Wasn't he in Stealth, or was that not? Is that a different movie? I mean, it's a different movie.
It is a different movie.
Is he in that?
I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, but I watched this movie there, and there were 2 or 3 sets of subtitles. Like, it wasn't dubbed, but it was subbed in, I know, French and German and maybe Italian?
That would be Italian.
Yeah, there. But it actually worked out because, you could just ignore it because you knew you couldn't read any of it. But yeah, Bonjour Switzerland. So to recap, Tim Travelers in the Time Traveler's Paradox. I think that's the title. Starring, hey, that's Danny Trejo, Keith David, and 30 different of the other guy. Solid, rewatchable, super low budget, super Seattle. Janet Planet, you're gonna have a chance to see it. Kind of boring, but there's definitely some quality there, some quality filmmaking, but boring compared to the other two. Bonjour Switzerland, absolute riot. Check it out. We're kind of on the same page on all 3 of these, which is good.
Yeah,
we're sitting right next to each other. It's always weird when we aren't. But yeah. Those are 3 movies we watched.
What was your favorite performance? Because they said we could have voted for that, but we only watched 3 movies, so we didn't. If we would have sat there and watched the whole festival, it would have been.
Favorite performance of the 3 movies. I kind of want to go with Samuel Dunning and Tim Travers. I joked to Todd that they say you could vote on the best performance. I said, which of the 30 performances by Samuel Dunning do you vote for, though? Because he played 30 different characters.
Yeah, that could be a Nicolas Cage role for the year-end awards. Oh,
yeah.
If it ever gets released.
You could give it to Zoe Ziegler in Janet Planet. I think she does she's amazing, the kid, Lacey. Or Jonas in Bonjour Switzerland. What was your comparison for Jonas? What does he look like?
He looks like a cross between Neil Patrick Harris, the dad from The Middle, and Joel Klatt.
It's random, but it actually makes sense if you
checks
see a
out.
picture of him or see him on screen at all. And there was another guy in there that I turned to you at one point, and I said he's a cross between Steve Buscemi and Pete Davidson.
Yeah, it was like a split second that we saw him. Like, yeah, that's exactly.
I thought he was
going to
be around a little more. That was when I said it was the last time we actually saw him. Anyways, that was our trip to the film festival today.
This just proves that as a group we need to actually go to a film festival sometime. Like, instead of Vegas one year, we should just like, oh, let's meet in Park City or something. And we'll
Yeah,
we
Park City. Let's meet in
that.
Telluride or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. And divide and conquer a little bit. I think that'd be fun also.
You know, it'll be like Dutch Boyd and the crew, just like, well, we're gonna go see everything at some point. One of us is gonna see every one of these movies.
Yep. Oh, that'd be fun. Hear that, Zach and Adam? We need to go to a film festival together. Let's make it happen.
Adam could have gone with us today.
Adam could have gone with us today, but we forgot to invite him.
Yeah, if we would have just like said, "Hey, we're gonna go to the Mariners game afterwards," he probably would have been like, "Okay."
That's true.
Be like, I'll call worker now. I'll take it off.
If he heard that, if we thought about doing that, like if it had worked out right, we would have gone to the Mariner game after that, which I'm glad we didn't because they lost 8-1 today. But
we could have gone to the midnight showing.
Then we could have gone. Yeah, but if we had done that, Adam would have invited himself.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, Adam, we should have invited you. But anyways. This was our day at the Seattle International Film Festival. Again, it's still running for at least another week. Go up to Seattle, check out some of these movies. Some of them, like they showed plenty of trailers. I've never heard of most of them. You probably won't see them anywhere else. These three, outside of Janet Planet, I probably wouldn't have even heard of if it wasn't for this film festival. So that's what's great about film festivals is you discover new things, and we discovered some very interesting things, and I think we definitely have at least one hidden gem that we pulled out of this. So any last thoughts, Todd?
No, but go support your local film festivals because they do a lot of good work.
I'd love at some point be able to pull off an Almost Sideways Film Festival. I don't know how the hell we would do that, but wouldn't that be cool?
I don't know how we do that either, but yeah, that would be
cool. That'd be cool. I think it would be somewhere between like an independent international film festival and like the TCM Film Festival. Just pull out some old random classics and then find some other random stuff that I mean I'm sure the Strummer guy has a new movie coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
He would totally play at the Almost Sideways Film Festival. Anyways, that's our film festival day, and that's episode 270. I think we're saying 270 of the Almost Sideways podcast. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. We'll be back at you next week with another episode, a regular episode, a full episode. And I think we're deep diving. Is that what we decided? I think we decided we're deep diving. So we might be deep diving next week. It was decided. We're deep diving, and that'll happen then. Until then, have fun watching movies, and we'll catch you on the flip side.